Well, first of all, welcome. I was just telling everybody that this morning we had quite a lot of detailed and really good presentations about the European experience, and now we're going to hear about the American experience. I'm going to put your slides on the screen. Can you first of all just tell us a little bit about what Titan Cloud does?
Sure. We're a cloud software company focused on providing environmental compliance management, Wetstock management, maintenance, inspections. Been around since 2012, and we're kind of at that intersection of IoT and analytics, and very much focused on the largest C-stores in the United States right now.
Great. Well, David, I'm going to let you dig into your presentation. Good luck, and we're going to come back for questions. So if people have got questions, they can put them in the chat. I'll come back on and pass those to you. So over to you, David.
Sure. With some trepidation here, I'm going to try to do this. So hopefully everybody can still hear me.
Yeah, you're all good. Good to go.
Good. All right. Hey, good morning. For me, good afternoon for you. I have to admit, I really wish I was in Alicante, Spain. And this, no disrespect, but that's kind of why I signed up for this. But here we are on another webinar, Zoom call, and pleasure to meet you virtually. So again, I'm Chief Product Officer at Titan, CEO. My main passion is the product. As an engineer, early days, got an MBA. I've been doing quote digital solutions since '95. I was in consulting and banking, and '94 Bill Gates addressed the retail banking conference that said banks are dinosaurs and they can be easily bypassed. True quote. So there's a lot of consulting work after that on the world of internet banking and how do you build a platform to engage customers virtually, digitally. So long time, this like '94 is when Mosaic, I think, came out in widely commercial form. So also, again, I'm an old guy, so I'm doing AI for a long time, like '91 to '93 for Allstate Insurance, which has about 10,000 agents. We did one of the first case-based reasoning systems, at a very large scale, underwriting decisions. Again, one of those kind of archetype use cases for AI, which is kind of a classification kind of thing. And then I always like technology. Here I've been, this is Nashville where we're at right now. I've been here for 15 years. Come to love bourbon. For those of you who like whiskey, bourbon is I would highly recommend. Boating, and of course the live music scene. So a little bit about myself, a little bit about Titan here. So again, we're kind of right now we're focused on the United States. We hope to change that soon. I have one of my marketing team members here with me. So right now we're focused on environmental risk, frictionless fueling, which is improving that fueling experience at the forecourt. Next gen Wetstock Management, which we think we have something different to say about, a topic that's been around for a long time, something different to say, some different kind of algorithms and different approaches. We also have facility management for focus on retailing, mobile inspections. We do about 15,000 of those a month. When I say we do them, our software is used by third parties to do them. And we also write ATG management software, the Inform.net that Veeder resells, and the System Sentinel Anywhere 2 that Franklin resells as our software, and they're white labeling and reselling it. So we've been a software company since 2012, about 40,000 forecourts that we're connected to when we're actively monitoring, about 120,000 tanks. Pretty much the largest C-stores in the United States use us. We recently have got all the sites from Euro Garages, all of North America for 7-Eleven. We do some stuff, obviously, beyond North America for Circle K. We do some stuff in Riga for them, as well as fleet. So we have a pretty good portfolio of customers. So hopefully when I talk about the American experience, it's somewhat informed with these really large customers. I, in particular, spent a lot of time with 7-Eleven and Circle K. And so I kind of have a point of view. I always like to have customer points of view here to share. So let me continue. So we're going to talk about a little bit the difference between American retailing and Europe to the extent we understand it at a very high level, and then really kind of dive into the fueling experience, next gen Wetstock, and environmental compliance, and just trying to kind of tell you a little about the U.S. experience and hopefully to learn something. So I guess the main takeaway from the different markets, United States and Europe, is we just drive more, right? So we have about 10% fewer vehicles, 60% more fuel demand, 15% fuel stations, again with that greater fuel demand. A lot of that's driven by a much lower pricing. I think it's maybe a third in terms of the fuel price. So again, not surprising. U.S. drivers drive more. They go, kind of the distances are different, and the fuel prices help that. So really, again, the U.S. market is, these retailers are focused on fueling. It drives 99% of their profitability, or not profitability, but it drives their whole business because it drives the people to go in store. So some of some of the leading retailers have done the studies, and even though the margins inside the store are greater, that fuel experience is what gets them there, and it's kind of crucial to getting them in the store. So the fueling experience we talk about is more and more important. So as I think about framing the American experience at a high level, these pictures kind of depict the worst case scenarios where there's things aren't available, you're pulling up to a fueling position, the flow rate's slow, amount of gas. That is the essence of what we're trying to remedy, if you will. So the C-store owners and operators that I deal with, that Titan deals with, have made a lot of investment to improve the in-store shopping experience, just like lots of physical retailers have. But the fueling experience is kind of an emerging awareness in the United States. At least, again, they have like a customer experience person, but it's really in-store customer experience. This lives in the marketing world. In the fuel world, again, we're emerging awareness about the fueling experience, and even in Wetstock, right? Wetstock is something that's very, very core and basic in Europe, my understanding. The United States, less so. Price of fuel, less high. So it's becoming more and more interesting now. I would also say these folks are very skeptical of the technology, right? U.S. companies have been selling this stuff and overselling technology, digital technology, for 20 plus years. I might have been part of that at Siebel Systems and Oracle. So it's very much ROI driven. Show it to me, prove it to me, and that's kind of how we go to market, right? We're connected to all these sites. We can show you, here's the results, but unless you can show that to them, they seem to be very skeptical. So we're trying to educate, we're trying to educate buyers why now, what's different. We do think the technology is different now because, again, I go back a long ways in the whole world of technical architecture and, just the machines. Now you have this highly available auto scaling. It's beautiful, right? Programmable infrastructure. It's a little geeky here, but it's like super, super cool, which really changes a lot of things. And we have something we think is the antidote, what we're calling bounded rationality, which is kind of this term from decision theory, but it's really this idea that people's ability to kind of be effective is limited by their kind of the bandwidth, the kind of intellectual time they can spend on it, the data they have available, and the time. So you have all this data now coming from all these devices. What do I do with it? It's like a data proliferation, if you will. And how do I make good decisions? The other response is we're really focused on the fueling position, right? So the fueling position, I think about the gallons. Each sold at every fueling position is kind of like this piece of very valuable real estate. So maybe the most valuable real estate the retailer has is that fueling position. So when you pull up, it's available, the nozzle's there, the flow rate's good, obviously everything's working, and you can think about the impact on your sales, right? You just like a tank shutdown event where the tank has been shut down for a variety of reasons, some valid, but there's a lot of invalid reasons. All the dispensers are affected. That person's leaving. You've lost sales. It's not like some of our customers will say, well, if there's a slow flow, they're just going to go to another fueling position. I'm not sure that's true, but in this scenario, the tank is shut down. I can't go anywhere, and I'm mad. and the kind of whole customer experience is suffering, and millennials especially are going to hold a grudge. So you have that fueling position. The experience of that fueling position is kind of the crux of, I think, if you want to use technology to improve sales with the biggest ROI, that's one of the biggest ones. And we have demonstrated that ROI for many folks. And a lot of times, again, we're focused on reducing both the frequency and the duration of those events, and the frequency, preventing them is even better, right? So how do you, a lot of this related to ATG programming and other things that are very kind of esoteric, but we have some software that can manage some of those, some of that complexity. So again, the deeply skeptical, prove it with ROI. Fueling position is the kind of core profit lever. And, the fancy bounded rationality term is just the fact that, folks are being bombarded with data. They have limited time to make decisions. So how do you give them some software that helps them do that in a way that they feel good about? So let me throw another term around here, the experience economy, which is, I think, about 20 years old. It was a Harvard Business Review article. So that premise of the experience economy is widely accepted these days, especially in the world of consumer retail-oriented businesses. You compete on the basis of better experiences. There's lots of case studies for physical retailers where they're trying to create a better experience and reimagining, retail, so forth and so on. And I think it's come to fuel now. The forecourt. It's come to the forecourt. So if you think of one way to think, a couple of different ways of thinking about it. On the left here, the progression of economic value is your ability to price, to some degree, is driven by experiences, staging experiences, so that the whole thing, you can have a premium price, premium volume, make more money. On the right side of the slide, we've actually had customers test this in the kind of very thorough. You have control group, you have an experiment group. You've done the diligence to select these in similar geographies and randomly selecting them, and sort of, what if I invest in a better experience? What does that look like? So when a better experience is basically, I'm making sure that the flow rate's at least 7 gallons per minute. All the nozzles are available, the tanks are available, and I'm reducing those. I'm dispatching to reduce any issues very quickly. So the difference is pretty astounding, right? So the national test group was versus the control group, it was increased sales 5.7%. California, which has kind of its own unique circumstances, 8%. So those are some significant improvements by improving the fueling experience. And I think folks are skeptical, but then you show them, the fact that you have lost sales, equipment's down, you can't fuel. So again, there's evidence out there. We have lots of other case studies. This is just one example. So if I had to kind of summarize this in terms of better practices, what we sort of say customers should be doing, at least our U.S. customers, you want to minimize these fueling experiences. Seems obvious. So that's both the duration and the frequency. So how do you do that, right? So you want to get all the data from the forecourt, all the pieces of equipment, from your dispensers, from your ATGs especially, and you want to be able to monitor these things in kind of an OEM agnostic fashion. So we do that. We have kind of these arrangements with these manufacturers so we can kind of understand the status of all these devices. Understand some providers might have had issues with them sharing it to you, but when you have customers with 8,000 sites and 4,000 sites, and they say go do it, they'll do it for you. That's kind of useful. We found. So then you're kind of getting the data from these devices. You not only here's the status, they're telling you information about the forecourt, but they're also helping you manage the actual configuration of the device. Right, the ATG has 300 parameters. People have physical access to them. The parameters change sometimes. They always go in the wrong direction. Right. They don't get better. They get, by definition, they start changing and they're worse. And so how do I make sure that's working right? So then you get into the world of AI and machine learning. Again, kind of machine learning is this big term. AI is part of it. I sort of think of AI as kind of the human part of machine learning. But anomaly detection is one of the kind of the archetypal use cases, under classifying is it a false positive, true positive, prioritizing it. Root cause analytics also are important, just basic process management here, understanding what's causing it. And then you want to have triage tools that allow you to kind of eliminate these things remotely before you dispatch. But sometimes you do need to dispatch, whether it's to, we have a work order system or a third-party work order system, or however you do it, but you just need to minimize this time frame so you get resolution. Again, at the end of the day, the poor fueling experience is a combination of the duration and the frequency of those experience, minimize both. You have to attack both of them simultaneously. All right, so what time is it? I'm doing okay, right? How many minutes do I have? 10 more minutes. So some case studies here where we've applied this, a big oil, a C-store, and another C-store. So in the top five C-store, top five big oil, it was really around fueling experience, flow rates, nozzle downs, dispatching really efficiently. They even had dealers sign up for the program, right? So you have obviously kind of company-owned sites, you had dealer-owned sites where, hey, there's this program, fast flow program, that if you sign up for, you're going to increase your fuel sales. It was beneficial to them, and there was co-investment. On the C-store side, really around shutting down tank shutdowns that you don't really know about. How does your customer know that the tank's been shut down unless you're monitoring it? You're going to get complaints. Store personnel, at least in the United States, unlikely to notice, right? They're focused on selling coffee and beer and whatever else. Customers complain, so it's you're not going to know about this for a while, so you need to know about it. Then you need to understand, how do I resolve it quickly? Talk the previous page and the triage and so forth. And then on the other one, another kind of example is kind of on the alarm side. Again, AI is a very good kind of tool for alarms, ATG alarms, other alarms, where you're trying to classify these as true positives, false positives, and which ones are priority one, so you can reduce risk and cost simultaneously by over 85% in this case. So just to kind of summarize some things, there's lots of research and lots of customer experiences that show that slow flow and dispensers and tank shutdowns cause customers to buy elsewhere. There's a firm here, I think not Market Force maybe, but there's a lot of custom research on this. Technology is kind of one of the main answers to give you the right data, kind of to fix that boundary rationality. How do I deal with all these? So I know the issues. Not all sites are created equal. I know which sites are the most important to deal with. And then I guess one of the things we have that we think we're a little bit better than other folks, and it's a differentiation, is ATG configuration. A lot of these errors are driven by ATG configuration problems, and we can manage that, automatically. We know, you think of distributed systems management in the world of computing, where you're trying to create images in these laptops and these desktops. It's like, well, you essentially create a configuration image in the ATG, and if a configuration parameter has changed, you can then accept it or reject it. You can push out profiles. So that whole configuration management topic that you think of in kind of IT departments, you can apply it to ATGs, and that helps you keep them working kind of perfectly. And if the ATG is kind of perfectly programmed, it helps a lot with uptime and certainly eliminates a lot of tank shutdowns. So moving on to Wetstock Management. Again, this is a topic that Europe, I think, spends a lot of time in versus the United States. We kind of probably call it more inventory variance. I think you know what's out there, what the issues are with the tank charts, the meters drifting, and the time to detect leaks. We have made some improvements, I think, in kind of the state of the market here, that we're using not just machine learning, finite element modeling, just a bunch of other techniques, that we're getting variance down to 1 basis points. We can calculate physical deliveries in real time to 3 basis points. So you think of how we do that. We're sampling it very quickly. We're sampling probites and kind of totalizers every 5 seconds at the same time. So the contemporaneous nature of that sampling. And then you can apply some very interesting algorithms to that. So just think of a delivery of when does it really start? As my data science says, deliveries are a baffling problem, right? You'll get that if you're an engineer. So, but like signal processing, even machine vision, kind of like a one-dimensional machine vision, when does it actually start? What's the edge of that delivery? There's a lot of interesting algorithms that are available you can apply now in the cloud with all the data we have. And then the meter drift, right, is a big deal. Like the meters are actually stealing, at least in the United States, they steal fuel, right? They drift open. We can actually calculate the meter drift analytically. We have an analytical prover, if you will, so you don't have to have a physical prover. So we have enormous benefits from getting this right, from reducing variance, from making sure the meters are true, delivery reconciliation issues. There's big dollars. Again, Europe, I think, is in the forefront of this. I think we're just trying to say we have something different. We have a product in the US called Perfect Gallon. In Europe, I think we have a trademark called Perfect Litre. We're coming to Europe here soon. We're coming to Europe. Alicante, Spain was where I wanted to go to Europe, but hey, here we are. So I think what we're bringing is, cloud computing scale and high throughput IoT engine. So again, we can get this data every 5 seconds for every site in the world, totalizers and probe heights, auto scaling, highly available. We don't require any equipment. So it's pretty powerful set of data there. Other data can be there, but we just have that super scalable engine. I kind of geek out a little bit on the infrastructure, but it's so freaking cool. The algorithms you can apply then are different, right? So it's not limited by ATG, processes. It's not limited by kind of what people thought 20 years ago when a lot of these Wetstock providers kind of came out and made the transition from SIR provider to Wetstock or advanced their SIR. It's something different, right? So you have machine learning. One of my previous lives, I ran a machine learning company. They had a support vector machine, very powerful kind of analytical tool. There's optimization models you can apply here that are really compute intensive. So you can use some very compute intensive models. Now you have all this data. You kind of have the computational intensive algorithms can be applied, and then you kind of weave it all together. We have enterprise software to drive the results. So again, I come from enterprise software background, and I think that's to manage a process, a business process, right? So Siebel created CRM, and you manage marketing and sales. So we have a process here to manage Wetstock. So it's not just dashboards and reports; it's something beyond that allows you to manage the whole thing. So I think that's useful for folks. Certainly, that notion of having an enterprise software platform. The word platform has been it resonates with folks in the United States because they have a lot of point solutions with lots of nice dashboards, but they want a platform. So 5 more minutes here. If I think about inventory variance, we have a point of view on this maturity model. A lot of folks in the US are still using accounting systems, which in the US is mostly PDI, and they have over short reports, no physical delivery data, right? They're using BOLs, which are sometimes okay and sometimes they're messed up. You kind of make that transition to a BIR, SIR kind of environment where you have some better sales data, you have some basic delivery data. And we have this Perfect Litre standard definition, which is really adding workflow and tools and a platform to that. And then on the high definition side is where we kind of get to that. We replace the tank chart. We replace how deliveries are calculated with the signal processing algorithms. We know down in the minute of what's happening. We can downsample, upsample. Kind of, we have this very, 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 very detailed view of what's happening at the site, and analyst tools to go with it. The implications for Perfect Gallon high definition on leak detection are pretty astounding. So this is a site we've done testing. We're in process of getting certified through the NUI Glide, which is the EPA leak detection in the United States. So correspondingly, this would mean the maximum undetected leak of 6 liters. So 1.6 gallons. So we're at 0.025 gallons per hour. I get 0.095 liters. But the other thing that happens here is the time to detect goes way down. So not just the leak detection rate, but it's the time to detect together. You're talking about a maximum undetected leak of 6 liters, which is almost nothing, right? I mean, it's something, but it changes a lot of things. So again, we're in the process of getting certification for this, but we have all the test results, and I think our approach is attacking both the leak detection rate and the time to detect simultaneously, because both those things impact the size of the leak. Now, obviously, we think this is way better than the industry, and it's kind of almost an order of magnitude better. So then we're going to that can also work for inventory variance and other things. So my last, I think I have like a minute. Okay. So one of the things Titan's have done historically is environmental compliance, and we have a lot of customers that use this. I think we this word digitize, but here's an example for Circle K, the largest C-store in the United States, at least until the Speedway acquisition goes through with 7-Eleven. So they have they have these decentralized business units in the United States. Each of them has 500 or 600 sites. They have several of them, their own systems, their own process. So there was a centralization, a shared service kind of effort undertaken to kind of centralize on our platform. So we kind of took like 20 systems into one, all these third-party vendors. So there was kind of a vendor integration as well, using APIs and XMLs we have. So this platform is a system of record for all their fuel equipment data. They use it to run compliance, they use it to run remediation. So they remediate all their sites as well. We do a bunch of other things, but in terms of the environmental compliance, we do inspections. All the third-party vendors they use, testing, what have you, send their data, so they own the data. It's on the same platform. So everything is really digitized at this point. So there's no manual anything anywhere, and they continue to scale and push us to kind of improve process management. But this is kind of taking the manual point solution, spreadsheet, access database, system X over here, making it into a kind of a modern platform that can be used to manage all the risks. We have, I didn't mention on that one slide, but we have 40,000 sites, but we have 10,000 users. We have lots of people using this to kind of see what's going on. Circle K is one of our biggest customers, one of our biggest set of users. So that's the compliance part. I would also add, again, I have an emerging understanding of what compliance means outside the United States. I do think, again, my initial understanding is the EPA guidelines are viewed as maybe the gold standard, maybe the silver standard. But so we are the leading provider, certainly in the U.S., of applying EPA standards with using technology, right? With all those sites, so we do release detection, testing management, permits. Mobile inspections are important. They have these site inspections here. So sort of any dimension of the EPA regulations, we have software that does that in a very scalable way that manages risk. I think that's useful outside the U.S. Don't know how useful yet, to be clear. But I think having that breadth and depth of experience, I think will be useful to folks as we kind of aggressively go to Europe and outside the U.S.